Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our free live webinar this afternoon. I am Kate and I will be your host. I am very excited to be with our participants who are joining us via Zoom and also via the live streams. Our topic this afternoon is very exciting and interesting. Win-win negotiations, collective bargaining for stronger workplace agreement. So now I know you're all excited to meet our speaker. But before that, I have a few reminders just to make sure that our program will be running smoothly this afternoon. First, Ariva is committed to protecting your privacy, hence stricter security of this webinar has been implemented. So for better viewing of your Zoom experience, we encourage you to please update your Zoom application by visiting their website. And for those of you who are using their mobile gadgets right now to view this webinar, you can go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store so you can download and install the Zoom app. Now I want to know, do we have participants who's joining an Ariva Academy webinar for the first time? If it is your first time, type hi here in the chat box. Let us know also, where are you watching us from? Are you just here in Metro Manila or somewhere in the province? Would love to know the location of our participants. Good afternoon from Valenzuela, from Pampanga. We have, yes, just here in Metro Manila, Laguna, Taguig, Lipa, Makati, Lolos, Bulacan, Ilocos, Cavite, Marikina, Valenzuela, from Pampanga, Caloocan, Nueva Ecija, Cavite, San Juan, Batangas, Cebu, wow, Gingoog City in Mindanao, in Alabang, May Kawayan, Bulacan, Manila, Laguna Technopark in Binyan, Surigao del Norte, wow, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat and welcome to our free live webinar this afternoon. Now, this next part is very important. Let's do an audio check, okay? Let's make sure that you will not be missing any part of our discussion later. So type 111 in the chat box if you can hear me loud and clear. Type 222, just in case wala kayong naririnig. 2121 if you can hear me but I am choppy or it's lagging or it's breaking up. And question mark if you don't understand what's happening. We'll try to help you out. Let me see the chat box. I am seeing a lot of 111s right now. Thank you so much for that. Later we'll have a 5-minute break. I'll be announcing that. But as early as now, next, please. Let me invite everyone to get their gadgets and scan this QR code. This one is very important because during that break time, there will be an activity that will be exclusive for those who are part of the Ariva Academy Viber community. So get your gadgets and scan the QR code that you are seeing. That will bring you instantly inside our Viber community. Again, scan the QR code because the activity that we will have during our break time, and merong price yon, okay, is exclusive for those who are part of the Viber community of Ariva Academy. There you go. So I'll move on. Participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by our administrator during the discussion just to avoid interruptions. But for those of you who might have a question, you can, instead of clicking the raise hand button, you can type your questions in the chat box. And then we will be monitoring them and answering them later at the end of our session. An e-certificate of attendance will be awarded to participants who will successfully complete this entire virtual masterclass. And they will be available 3 to 5 working days after the e-learning session. And yes, it is for everyone, whether you're here in Zoom or you're watching via the live streams. You can get an e-certificate as long as you accomplish the feedback form that we will be posting before we end our session later. Just make sure also that the email address you provided is the correct one so you can really receive your e-certificate. So there you have it. I know You are eager to get started, so now I am ready to introduce our speaker. Our speaker this afternoon is the managing partner of Alburo and Associates Law Offices, a law firm that specializes in business law and labor law. He is a senior lecturer in the School of Labor and Industrial Relations of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where he teaches labor law subjects. He is also the chairman and president of �YangTze Business Solutions Corporation. He holds a Master of Laws degree obtained from the Sambada University Graduate School of Law. So ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, let us now welcome our speaker, Attorney Alvin Alburo.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon, Attorney Alvin.
I'll just share my presentation.
Yes, please. We are not seeing the whole screen, Attorney.
My staff is already
Working on
recalibrating it.
Sure. So that everyone in Zoom can really see everything. And also our viewers from the live streams. There you go.
Okay.
You can now see it clearly.
Okay. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. The topic given to me is win-win negotiations, collective bargaining for a stronger workplace agreement. Okay, so let us start with the mother of all laws, the supreme law of the land, the 1987 Philippine Constitution. The supreme law of the land, no less, tells us, under Section 8 of Article 3, that the right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes not contrary to law shall not be abridged. So very clearly, as you can see in the Constitution, no less, the right to establish union is a constitutionally guaranteed right. What is the relevance of knowing that the right to establish a union is a constitutionally guaranteed right? It simply means that Congress cannot pass a law that will prohibit the establishment of a union or of unions because it is a right granted by the highest law of the land. If ever Congress, for example, enacts a law that prohibits the establishment of unions, that particular law may be questioned before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court may actually declare it unconstitutional. Because again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, but just for emphasis, the right to establish unions is a constitutionally guaranteed right. Okay. Now, why is it that the Constitution recognizes the necessity and, in fact, importance of establishing unions? Simple. Because the Constitution recognizes that there is strength in numbers. Okay? So, the Constitution clearly believes that if more employees would sit or would bargain with the management, then there is greater compelling power on the part of the workers to persuade the management, okay, to consider, even yield, to their position. Now, Section 3 of Article 13 of the Constitution, as you can see, that the right of the state, that the state, is mandated by the Constitution to give full protection to labor. Okay, whether local, overseas, organized and unorganized. When you say organized, we are talking here of business entities, with unions. When you say unorganized, we are talking here of business entities like corporations without unions. Okay? Promotion of full employment, equality of employment opportunities for all. These are also guaranteed by the Constitution. Take note, my friends, that as mentioned previously, it is a constitutional right to establish unions. Here, Article 13, Section 3, second paragraph thereof, you can see that among the rights of the workers is to engage in collective bargaining and negotiations. In fact, the law does not stop there. The Constitution furthers by saying that the employees may actually engage in strike. And when we say strike, in law, it means temporary stoppage of work. Why is this so? So that they would be in greater bargaining position with respect to the employer, and to bargain what? Or to negotiate on what? Among the things that they can negotiate on, conditions of employment, various areas pertaining to conditions of employment. Workers are also constitutionally guaranteed to participate in policy and decision-making processes with respect to their rights and benefits as may be provided by law. Now, let us go to the procedure when we talk about collective bargaining. The procedure is outlined under the law. Article 261 of the Labor Code of the Philippines tells us about the procedure in collective bargaining. Okay? There is a need, to serve a written notice upon the other party with a statement of its proposals. Okay, so in the case of the employees, they can send a written notice to the employer together with their proposals. Now, on the side of the employer is duty-bound to make a reply not later than 10 calendar days from receipt of the subject notice. Okay? Now, if, for instance, there would be differences pertaining to such notice and reply. Now, either party, meaning either employee side or employer side, may request for a conference which shall begin not later than 10 calendar days, reckoned from the date of the request. So if the dispute is not settled, the NCMB, and NCMB stands for National Conciliation and Mediation Board, under the law is duty-bound to intervene upon request of either the employee side or the employer side. Now, during the conciliation proceedings in the board, in CMB, the parties, so when we say the parties, we are referring to both the employees and the employer. The parties are prohibited from doing any act which may disrupt or impede the early settlement of the disputes. Now, Article 262 of the Labor Code, in the absence of an agreement or other voluntary arrangements, providing for a more expeditious manner of collective bargaining, take note, it shall be the duty of employer and the representatives of the employees to bargain collectively. Take note, my friends, of the phrase used by law, shall be the duty. Okay? So it's not just, no, we are not just talking here of a right. Very clearly, the law specifies that it shall be the duty of employer and the representatives of the employees to bargain collectively. Now, question. If we consider, in considering the law, what is the meaning of this phrase, duty to bargain collectively? So Article 263 of the Labor Code is very clear on the matter. The duty to bargain collectively means the performance of a mutual obligation to meet and convene promptly and expeditiously in good faith for the purpose of negotiating an agreement with respect to wages, hours of work, and all other terms and conditions of employment, including proposals for adjusting any grievances or questions arising under such agreement and executing a contract incorporating such agreements if requested by either party. But such duty does not compel any party to agree to a proposal or to make any concession. There you are. It is extremely important for you to remember, my friends, that as specifically mentioned under the law, either party is not duty-bound to agree to a proposal coming from the other party. There is also no duty to make any concession. Take note of that. Now, Article 264 of the Labor Code tells us that when there is a collective bargaining agreement, the duty to bargain collectively shall also mean that either party shall terminate nor modify such agreement during its lifetime. So in essence, this provision of the Labor Code is telling us that the moment there is already a CBA, neither party, so whether the employer or the employee side, cannot modify such agreement. In this case, we are talking about the collective bargaining agreement, commonly known as CBA. Okay? During its entire lifetime. However, the law also tells us that either party can serve a written notice to terminate or modify the agreement at least 60 days prior to its expiration date. So, let us simplify this. If, for example, the CBA will end on June 30, 2025, so you just count 60 days immediately prior to June 30, no? The expiration date of your CBA. Now, what is the significance of that period? Either party can serve a written notice to terminate or modify the agreement. Now, it shall be the duty of both parties to keep the status quo and to continue in full force and effect the terms and conditions of the existing agreement during the 60-day period and or until a new agreement is reached by the parties. Now, let us take the highlights, legal highlights, per pertinent provisions of the Labor Code as regards the collective bargaining agreement. When we talk about the CBA, no, remember 2 periods. Okay? 5 years and 3 years. 5 years refers to the representation aspect of the CBA. For example, in your company, you have 5 unions. In the certification election, Union A won. Okay? So Union B, C, D, E lost. Union A, no, was the one that won in the certification election. So it means that Union A is the recognized bargaining representative on the side of the employer, or on the side of the employees. Okay? Now, with respect to that fact that Union A is the duly recognized bargaining unit, it has 5 years. No, it has 5 years to represent, no, the employee side with respect to that particular CBA. So that is the meaning of 5 years with respect to the representation aspect of the CBA. Now, petition to question the status of the incumbent bargaining agent shall be filed within the 60-day period immediately before the date of expiry of such 5-year term of the CBA. So in other words, if you are questioning, no, the status of Union A in my example, you have to do that within the 60-day period immediately preceding the expiry of such 5-year term of the CBA. So, as I mentioned earlier, if the expiration of your CBA is on June 30, 2025, so you count 60 days immediately prior to that. And within that 60-day period, petition can be made to question the status of the incumbent bargaining agent. And the example I gave you, it's Union A. Now, with respect to the economic provisions of the CBA, when we say economic provisions, these are the provisions that pertain to wages, no, and other benefits of the employees. The period as provided for by law with respect to renegotiation is not later than 3 years, reckoned from the execution of the CBA. Okay? Now, if the agreement was entered into within 6 months from the date of expiration of the CBA, what will happen? The agreement shall retroact to the day immediately following such date. Okay? Now, if the agreement was entered into beyond 6 months, okay, now the parties shall agree on the duration of retroactivity. Okay? Now, as mentioned earlier, another constitutional right that is related to the right to establish unions, the right to engage in collective bargaining activities, no? Another constitutionally guaranteed right on the part of the employees is the right to strike. Again, what is strike? It pertains to temporary stoppage of work. What is the relevance of this? The relevance of this is in order for the employees to be more persuasive, no, in pressuring, no, management to yield to their demands. Okay? Now, please take note, my friends, that the grounds for a strike are clearly provided for by law. Outside the enumeration given by law that would justify, no, strike, please take note, there is no other valid reason that can be used by the employees outside this enumeration that you can see on your slide now, no, in order to justify their strike. Otherwise, if they picked a reason or they used a reason for their strike, a reason that is not among the grounds for a strike that you can see now on your screen, then that strike is illegal. That strike is illegal. And once a strike is illegal, then the officers of the union which authorized that illegal strike can actually be held liable, no? And in fact, they can even lose their employment on account thereof. Now, as regards those employees, members of the union who, for example, participated in criminal activities, like they threatened those employees who did not want to join the strike. No, they threatened them in order for those employees to feel fearful for their safety and therefore would be compelled to join them in their strike or temporary stoppage of work. That is illegal. In fact, that is a criminal act. And in fact, the members of the union, no, that actually participated in such illegal act can be made liable under the law. Okay? Now, another is take note, no, this is very important. That's why I put it in highlighted font. Bargaining deadlock. Many employers, for instance, would say, as soon as they are already on the negotiation table, then they would simply say, we will not yield, no, to your demands, no. And then, in fact, management may even sometimes give proposals that are really very impossible, no, or way below, no, what the union wants. Now, if and when, take note, my friends, there is a bargaining deadlock, nobody between the two opposing groups would want to yield to the position of the other. So that's bargaining deadlock. It is a ground, my friends, to launch a strike. Another ground, unfair labor practices. Another ground for a strike is flagrant violations and or malicious refusal to comply with the economic provisions of the CBA. Okay? Now, the notice of strike should be filed at least 30 days before the intended date. That is very important. These are all sourced from pertinent provisions of the Labor Code, and these provisions, take note, my friends, are mandatory. The notice of strike must be filed at least 30 days before the intended date. Now, the 30-day period is the calling off period. Why is that so? Why is the necessity for that? Well, the state recognizes that if, for instance, emotions between the two opposing parties are really very high, then that may actually serve as a reason to cloud the judgment, to cloud clear thinking of the parties. And that is why there is a need, as provided for by law, for a calling off period. And you know, my friends, more often than not, during the cooling off period, in many instances that I have already personally witnessed as a lawyer to a lot of companies during the cooling off period, the employees who were once very much adamant and in fact very much insistent that they would go on strike would somehow change their mind and abandon their original idea to go on strike. So thus the importance of the so-called cooling off period. Now, the Regional Conciliation and Mediation Board is duty-bound to exert all efforts during the mediation and conciliation in order to reach voluntary settlement between the parties, management and labor. When we say labor, my friends, we are talking to employees. Don't forget that. Whenever you read the word labor in the labor code or in Supreme Court decisions, that term labor pertains to employees. Okay. Now let's go now to negotiations. So you have already, I have discussed with you already, my friends, the legal framework when we talk about unions, when we talk about strikes, when we talk about CBA, okay, or collective bargaining agreements. Now, let us go to negotiations and negotiating skills pertinent to collective bargaining agreement. So, let us tackle some basic principles of negotiation. So many people, the moment they hear the word negotiation, they would suddenly shirk and say, I do not have any aptitude, ability, or skill insofar as negotiation is concerned. Okay? Many people would readily say that. But please take note, my friends, that negotiation, even without us noticing it, happens almost every day. It is essentially a lifelong process. In fact, we negotiate every day. In fact, we negotiate every day. Sometimes it is for small things. Other times it may be for a major event. Now, with respect to our emotional interactions with other people, we are constantly negotiating even when we do not realize it. So there you are. Now let's go to collective bargaining. Note, my friends, that bargaining is the most frequently used process in the formal union or management relationship. Now, it occurs when there is a problem or demand and both sides have their own respective preferred solution to it. And in the process, the following are the various scenarios that may actually occur. What are these various scenarios that may actually occur insofar as collective bargaining is concerned? One, each realize they may get what they want, but only at the expense of the other. I want you to take note, my friends, the progression from the worst condition to the best possible condition. Okay? That is how these scenarios are arranged. And I want you to pay close attention to that. Next, each side is trying to get movement by the other, and neither will willingly give it. Next, there is pressure and conflict, but also willingness to find a workable solution which is acceptable to both. Now, fourth scenario, which I personally submit is the most beneficial situation for both parties. And what is this? That there is a tacit understanding that to find the workable solution, both sides will need to compromise. both the employer side and the employee side, both sides need to compromise. Okay? So do not forget that, because many people, the moment they go to the negotiating table, they would just espouse what they want without really taking into consideration that in order to have an optimum situation, insofar as collective bargaining is concerned, an ideal situation, there must be willingness of both sides to compromise. You cannot just go to the negotiation table and insist on your intention to just keep on taking without any intention whatsoever to actually give in also to some requests or demands of the other party. So when you go to the negotiation table, it is best, in fact, it is extremely important that you do not have a mindset that, I will be sitting on the negotiation table and I will just keep on taking from the other side without any intention, on your side to also give in, to what the other side needs, wants, demands. Now, successful negotiation is based on purposeful persuasion and constructive compromise. From the term itself, purposeful persuasion. So you do not go to the negotiation table just with the intention of persuading the other party, to your point of view. That is so lousy. You go to the negotiation table, it is very clear in your mind what you need to do in order to persuade the other party to adopt your proposal, even not its entirety. In fact, most of the time, it's not really the entirety of your proposal that will be adopted by the other party, but there must be a purpose. What is your end goal in going to the negotiation table, in persuading the other party to your point of view? Your purpose must be clear. Without that purpose, my friends, you will be lost, because that purpose is your compass in dealing with the complexities, intricacies of collective bargaining. So another component of successful negotiation is constructive compromise. Okay? When we say constructive compromise, discussion and persuasion may work to convince the other party to agree with your point of view, but normally will not result in agreement being reached on all matters or in all cases. Now, this is particularly true in a collective bargaining situation. So generally, complete agreement is not reached without some compromise. Now, in other words, my friends, when you go to the negotiation table, please be in good faith to adopt the so-called win-win mentality or win-win framework. That when you walk away from the negotiation table, you can ardently say that both parties separated and walked away from the negotiation table. Both parties are happy with the change in their respective conditions. Now let's go to the negotiation phases. Phase 1 is exploration. So here, in this particular stage, the parties, employer side, employee side, no, they attempt to identify each other's position with respect to the issue or issues involved and the degree of attachment which they have towards it. Okay? So, again, here is what we commonly call as testing waters. Okay? So, both parties, they attempt to identify each other's position with respect to the issue or issues involved. Now, second phase is expectation structuring. Now, each side attempts to get the other to negotiate on their key commitments. Next, or phase 3, movement and seeking common ground. So, my friends, it is really expected that when you go to the negotiation table, the other party would have so many proposals with respect to the terms and conditions of employment that if you are the management would be entirely different, no, from what you really want. But please take note that it is extremely important for the success of the negotiation process to seek for common ground. And once you have sought and established the common ground, then you can work their own. No? It is difficult, extremely difficult, in fact, to continue with the negotiation process without you first identifying the common ground. Because it is in knowing the common ground that the parties would somehow gain trust with respect to each other. Now, phase 4 refers to conclusion. So here, when we talk about conclusion, we are talking about the terms and conditions. When we talk about CBA, terms and conditions that the parties to the negotiation process have reached. And make sure that if there are ambiguities, these ambiguities are resolved forthwith. Now, things do not stop at the conclusion stage. Okay? The final phase is the so-called agreement. So in the agreement, the terms and conditions, for instance, reached by the parties are embodied in the agreement, or we oftentimes call contract. But the most popular term, what we are talking about now, this particular matter, is CBA. CBA, or the collective bargaining agreement. That is the contract between the employees and the employer with respect to the terms and conditions of employment. Now, please take note, my friends, that a CBA is, and in fact, must be in writing. Okay? Well, there is a practical purpose for that the CBA, collective bargaining agreement, be in writing. The purpose of that is in order to aid the frailty of human memory. Okay? So the law does not just mandate that the CBA be in writing. There is a practical purpose for that. So that parties to the CBA could not just easily renege no, on their commitments, on their responsibilities, duties and obligations as clearly espoused on the collective bargaining agreement. Because we all know that people, most of the time, not all, but many people, most of the time, have powerful memory when we talk about rights, especially when we talk about their rights. But when we talk about duties and obligations, more often than not, many people's memory begin to flicker. Okay? More often than not, there is somehow selective amnesia that many people suffer the moment that we talk about their duties and responsibilities to the agreement. As in this case that we are talking about now, a CBA. No? But, again, many people have very powerful memory when we talk about their rights. But very poor memory when we talk about their responsibilities, their duties, their obligations. Hence, the need that the CBA or the collective bargaining agreement be in writing. Okay? In short, the law does not require that it be in writing just for the sake of requiring it. There is a practical purpose for that. Now, let's go to the elements of negotiation, negotiating ritual. Okay? When we talk about negotiating ritual, just to simplify matters, for example, when we talk about salary, no, salary increase, the management has already a figure in mind. No? The management has already a figure in mind. We can take a break at yes, we can take a break now. It's already past 2:45. It's 2:47 now. Okay, so will 5-minute break be enough?
Yes, attorney.
Okay, let's have a 5-minute break.
So we will see you in a little while.
Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone. And yes, we are going on our afternoon break. And if you remember what I mentioned a while ago, we're doing an activity this afternoon and we're looking for winners. Okay, so this is exciting. Now, get your gadgets again. So just in case you're not yet a part of the growing Ariva Academy Viber community, do that right now. We'll be showing you the QR code again. So if you haven't scanned the QR code yet, scan it right now. Make sure you are part of the Ariva Academy Viber community because, again, the game will be exclusive for the members of our Viber community. So once you're inside the Viber community, this is what you have to do. Listen closely. Look for the Viber community admin, RV Ariva. Again, our Viber community admin is RV Ariva. That is where you will be sending your message. Only to RV Ariva. You will not be able to chat in Viber. Please don't send your answers in the chat box as well. Only through RV Ariva. That will be the only one where we will be checking. And where I mentioned that there will be winners. We are looking for 2 winners this afternoon. Each winner will be receiving 200 pesos that will go in their e-cash account. So ayan, very exciting ito. Madali lang naman ang ating game. And the game is called Guess the Movie. If you're familiar with this, alam na ninyo ang inyong gagawin. But if you are a new participant, this is what you have to do. Okay, you will be seeing or watching short clips or short trailers of some movies. At kailangan mabilis kayong mag-type kay RV Ariva. Kailangan napakabilis mag-type. You have to send the complete and correct title of that movie to our Viber community admin, RV Ariva. The first one who will get it right will be the one to receive the 200 pesos. Again, sa GCash ninyo ito isesend. So wherever you are, you will be receiving it, whether you're watching via Zoom or via the live stream. You can join as long as you're part of our Ariva Academy Viber community. Now, for all of us to be on the same page, let's do a trial run. Wala pa tong prize, but I want you to start guessing the title of this movie. Let's watch it.
Okay, let me just review this with you. You have 6 bridesmaids. You ordered 6 of the silk chiffon Antoinette dresses in pink. The wedding is in 3 days, and the dresses just arrived all in charcoal gray, which we don't even sell, so that is a bit of a mystery. Okay, here's what we're going to do about this. I'm going to call the vendor and have this fixed today. I will personally see the dresses before they are FedEx, and I promise you they will be at your front door by 9 a.m. Friday, okay?
Okay, there you go. Checking your messages very fast. We have the intern. We have intern. We have, I think, pretty woman. Any other answers? The devil wears Prada. So those are the guesses. Princess Diaries also. Okay, so those are the guesses that I saw. I am seeing messages sent somewhere else that is not in our Viber community. Some of you are typing in Zoom and some of you are sending messages via the live stream. I will be disregarding those. Only the ones that are sent through RV Ariva in Viber are the ones that will be considered. So instead of typing there, why not type kay RV Ariva na para sure mas malaki yung chance na talagang makuha ninyo ang prize. But let us find out what is the title of that movie. It is The Intern. So a lot of you got it correct. But I saw some of you type The Interns. Okay? We are looking for the complete and correct title. So let me remind everyone, kailangan walang extra letter. Kailangan tama ang spelling, walang missing word, walang extra word. It has to be the exact title of the movie, and that will give you 200 pesos. Because this next clip is worth 200 pesos. Let's watch it.
We're all working our way up call sheets to sign clients. From the bottom to the top. From the doorman to the CEO. They'd stay till 7, but I had Christopher. In order not to waste any time, I wasn't hanging up the phone in between calls.
Okay, thank you very much.
I realized that by not hanging up the phone, I gained another 8 minutes.
There you go. I am trying to catch up with the messages that we are receiving in Viber. But let me try. I am seeing The Accountant, Pursuit of Happiness, The Pursuit of Happiness with a Y. There is also The Pursuit of Happiness with an I instead of a Y. There is In the Pursuit of Happiness. So there are variations. There's The Pursuit of Happiness with a Y, The Pursuit of Happiness with an I, In the Pursuit of Happiness. This one is with an I as well. The Accountant. Accountant. Pursuit of Happiness. Okay. Let us see what is the title of that movie. It is The Pursuit of Happiness, and yes, it is with a Y instead of an I. The first one who was able to type that very fast and correctly. We have our first winner, and that is Bernadette Faduga. Congratulations, Bernadette. Bernadette, you've won for yourself 200 pesos. Ayan, congratulations. Bernadette, send this to RV Ariva again. Your GCash account name and GCash account number, okay? We will be waiting for that so that we can send you your prize. Now, Bernadette, dahil nanalo ka na, you will not be able to join the game anymore so that we can give chance to your other co-participants. Okay, congratulations. And to the rest, one more 200 pesos is at stake. Let's watch this.
At last, ready to make my fortune. My first day as a future master of the universe.
I have X on it, 86 and a quarter 6 months ago. Today it is trading at 36 and a half. Mr.
They called it Black Monday.
Okay, and let me see. Catch me if you can. Now you see me. Wolf of Wall Street, the Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, so there are different variations also. Catch me if you can. Wall Street. The, what was that? The Da Vinci Code. The Revenant. Okay, so those are the answers that I am seeing right now. But let us check. What is the title of that movie? And it is The Wolf of Wall Street. Congratulations! The first one. Actually, siya talaga yung napakabilis mag-type. And that is Lexter. Congratulations, Lexter. You were very fast in typing. Got it right. So send us your GCash account name and the GCash account number. Congratulations, Bernadette. And congratulations, Lexter. Now, I'll move to my other announcements. Let us show that. So that, there you go, one moment. Let's show it to our participants in Zoom as well. Stay on top of our insights and updates. Stay connected with Ariva Academy. You can join our Facebook group. You can like our Facebook page. You can follow us in LinkedIn. And also you can visit our website, ariva.com.ph. Now, again, ang dami ko talaga nakita na answers that are being sent in Zoom, in the live stream, instead of being sent in Ariva Academy Viber community. So just in case you had a hard time scanning the QR code, we are showing it once again. This is the bigger QR code. Scan this QR code so that when you join the next free live webinar and you want to be a winner, you know already that you are part of the Viber community and it will be easier for you to win. Now, don't keep your gadgets yet because there's another QR code, but this time it is for the Ariva Academy Facebook group. We'd love for you to be a part of our Facebook group. Get to be a part of our activities there. Get to know the latest, the updates about Ariva Academy. And for HR practitioners, I know we have a lot of HR practitioners joining us right now. Scan this QR code because this will bring you to the HRD Academy Facebook group. Get to connect with your HR colleagues. Get to know the updates about the HR community in the HRD Academy Facebook group. So looking forward to seeing everyone there. And if you missed the past free live webinars, all you have to do to be able to watch them is go to our YouTube channels, subscribe to Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. Now, let me also inform everyone, we've started our free live webinars in the middle of the pandemic. Yes, that was in 2020. And we have a lot of free live webinars already, and we would like to continue doing this advocacy. So we'd like to ask for your help. If you have a generous heart, you can share your blessings through GCash by scanning this QR code, or if you are watching via our Facebook live stream, you can also share your blessings by sending stars there. So thank you so much for those of you who'd like to help. If ever you are also interested in inviting our speakers to conduct a program that will just be exclusive for your company or for your whole team, we do in-house training programs. And here are some of the topics that we conduct, but we have a lot more than that, okay? All you have to do is give us a call or send us an email, and then we will partner you with the right speaker under Ariva Academy Speakers Bureau for that. Let me invite you also to some of our upcoming learning events. On May 6, we have another free live webinar, and the topic is legal and ethical strategies to mitigate sexual harassment in the workplace. Again, that will be on May 6 already. The next one is another topic that is really interesting for most of our participants. This one is dealing with difficult people, conflict management strategies that work, and this will be our topic on May 8. Another free live webinar on May 13, mental health at work. Breaking the stigma, building support. This was very timely and it will be on May 13 already. On May 15, we have Engage, Persuade, Connect, Elevate your communication and interpersonal skills. On May 16, let me invite everyone to be a part of the Procurement, Innovation and Supply Chain Summit. We've invited all of these speakers to be with us the whole day of May 16. They will be sharing their expertise and their knowledge to all of our delegates for the Procurement, Innovation and Supply Chain Summit. See you there on May 16. Next, please. Now on May 20, still a free live webinar, we have Beyond Diversity, Creating a Truly Inclusive and Equitable Workplace. Next one is on May 21, the 5S and Safety Protocols Advantage. On May 22, we have two topics. In the morning, we are discussing key strategies for effective credit analysis and management. In the afternoon, we are discussing improving your accounts receivable collection skills. Now on May 23, we have this topic, proactive recruitment strategies to attract and retain top talent. The next one is on May 28, the proactive admin professional strategic management skills for workplace success. And on May 29, I am excited to share this with everyone. This is the season 2 for the Achievers Leadership Summit 2025. Empower, engage, elevate, building future-ready leadership. You're seeing also all the speakers that will be with us, that they will be sharing their knowledge, their wisdom to all of the delegates, and that will be on May 29 already. So let me invite everyone to be a part of this exciting summit, be one of the delegates. Join us May 29, that is the season 2 already. And on June 5, we have Winning the Talent Game, Workforce Planning Strategies for a Competitive Edge, and still a free live webinar. The next free live webinar will be on June 10. Layoffs, retrenchment, and redundancy. What employers and employees must know. Tax saving strategies and the managing tax assessment. Those will be discussed on June 11. Now on June 18, Advanced MS Excel Training. Next Gen People Analytics, empowering agile HR leaders with AI-driven insights on June 19. Now on June 20, we have social media marketing strategy and advertising mastery. How to use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to boost your business. Data privacy compliance and cybersecurity awareness. This will be on June 26, 2025. And let me say thank you to our major sponsor for this free live webinar, and that is Daily Fix. Let me say thank you to our friends from 𝐸-𝐧 Corporation for sharing with us Daily Fix. For those of you who will be joining our on-site learning event or hybrid master classes and you choose to be with us face-to-face, you get to try out our treats, Daily Fix, coming from 𝐸-𝐧 Corporation. Again, 𝐸-𝐧 Corporation, thank you for Daily Fix. So there you go. I won't be taking much of your time anymore because I know we still have a lot to discuss for this free live webinar. So let us again welcome our speaker, Attorney Alvin. We are ready to listen to you again.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we'll just
Okay.
be sharing it to all of our participants so that they can see it as well. There you go. We can now see it.
Okay. So when we talk about the elements of negotiation, we have this so-called negotiating ritual. So as mentioned earlier, if, for example, insofar as salary increase is concerned, the employer may actually have a percentage increase in mind, no? But the employer may not actually disclose it, as what you can see, no, in this example, no? The employer may actually give a figure lower than what it actually has in mind. What it actually has in mind that it is willing not to give. But nevertheless, employer in the negotiation table may give an amount lower than what it has in mind. So with respect to the employee side may actually have a percentage increase in mind, no? And nevertheless, when it speaks in the negotiation table, the employee may actually ask for a percentage increase that is far or that is higher, no, than what it actually has in mind, that it is willing to accept. So when we talk about these matters, we are talking about what is called the negotiating ritual. Now, positional bargaining, okay? Now, do not confuse ritualistic behavior with positional bargaining. So when we say ritualistic behavior, again, no, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we are talking about the negotiating ritual, as I have already explained to you. Positional bargaining, I strongly suggest, I strongly urge you, do not engage in this kind of process, no? Positional bargaining. When we say positional bargaining, no, each party establishes an extreme and oftentimes very unstable, no, demand, no. Now, once the position is stated, no, then the party stating the position, no, is just forced, no, to justify it. They may stubbornly hold on to it and not disclose their true intent. You do not engage in this kind of process because this actually indicates bad faith, no, on your part. And you know, if and when bad faith is present, trust becomes elusive. And the moment trust becomes elusive, that is very dangerous because if there is no trust, no, then it would be more, in fact, far more difficult to have a smooth or more manageable negotiation. Okay. So there you are, no? Loss of trust and negative effect on relationships of positional bargaining. So the question, therefore, should be, what should be aimed for? So this is very important, and I want you to take note of this. Always, always separate the people from the problem. It is extremely important that you keep emotions and egos out of the process and make every effort to regard the problem as everybody's duty to solve. It is important that emotions are controlled during the negotiation process. Okay? Negotiators should concentrate on their mutual interests. When you say mutual interest, again, we keep on mentioning this, win-win situation. Okay? You do not only think about your own wins, you also think and in fact endeavor for the other party to also have its wins. Much better if by winning, the other party is also winning. Okay? That is a very ideal situation which anyone who goes to the negotiation table must always earnestly endeavor. Now remember, my friends, that you are likely to have long-term relationship with the other party. In the case of collective bargaining agreement negotiation or CBA negotiation, please take note that negotiation with respect to the CBA does not start and end at the beginning and at the end of the CBA negotiation. No. You have to deal with these people throughout the lifetime of the CBA. And hence, it is very important that in anything and everything that you do, prior to, during, and after you sat on the negotiation table, it is extremely important to always think long-term. You always think long-term, and when I say you do it that way, it is of extreme importance that you, at all times, preserve the trust and confidence for which the other party holds you onto. Okay? Do not allow trickery to be introduced in the final wording, for instance, of the agreement. Many employers actually would have this very bad habit of introducing ambiguous terms in the collective bargaining agreement with the intention of going against the true intent of the parties during the time that they were on the negotiation table, that the parties have actually finalized, that the parties have actually come into agreement as regards what these provisions mean. So please avoid introducing trickeries. Do not disclose information in confidence also, given to you in confidence. Do not mislead the other party or undermine the relationship. Because if you undermine the relationship, you don't give premium to trust and confidence, then that is very dangerous because it will make any further relationship difficult or impossible. Communication is extremely important in collective bargaining negotiations. Note that when we talk about communications, it is a two-way process. So we do not have communication if you are the only one talking at the negotiation table. Okay? When we talk about communications done in earnest, then people would freely open up their minds, their expectations, their beliefs. And when people open up their expectations and beliefs, things become more manageable because you know what to address. You know what to address. As compared to when people do not open up their beliefs and expectations, you are left in the dark grasping what is the motivation of this person insofar as his proposals are concerned. Hence, the importance of healthy communication. Okay? Through communication, you can establish your credibility. And you have to make sure that you guard your credibility at all cost. And why is this so? Because if you are credible, if people trust you, it would be a lot easier for you to influence people. And in fact, when we talk about influencing people, you do not endeavor to influence people only during the time of the negotiation process. If you will really let wisdom guide you, then you must realize that even prior to sitting at the negotiation table, you must have already fostered a healthy relationship with these people who will later on sit in the negotiation table. It is easier to influence people prior to the negotiating process. Okay? Because when you will only endeavor to influence people during the negotiation process, then remember that the default mode of thinking of the other party is that you will do everything to insist your position, and that they will also do everything to insist on their position. Okay? That is, well, that shouldn't be the case, but let's talk about reality. That is what is happening in reality more often than not. And therefore, it is very important that you endeavor to influence people even prior to the negotiating process. Okay? Now, when we talk about positions and attitudes, these are very much determined by the expectations of each party. Okay? Now, please take note that when we talk about negotiations, you will be better prepared for negotiations because you will be able to anticipate the points that will be raised. Your own case will also be better prepared as you will be highlighting all your arguments in a systematic manner, and you have tried to understand your other party's position and how that will affect your arguments. In short, before you go to the negotiation table, prepare. And when we talk about preparation, it is extremely important that you must always consider what your expectations are. You must not only consider your expectations, but you must likewise give importance to and consider the expectations of the other party. Because if you are so blinded by your own expectations that your only goal is to serve your expectations, to make your expectations turn into reality, then you are actually fostering chaos. Okay? Because the other party may also have that kind of mindset. So it is extremely important that during the preparation stage, you consider not just your own expectations, but even the expectations of the other party. And always think of ways and means on how to gain win-win situation. Okay. Now, when we talk about commitments, bargaining has various ingredients. We have coercion, bluff, movement, and persuasion. But as you can readily see, and I'm sure you must have realized by now, among these factors, coercion, bluff, movement, and persuasion, it is extremely important that you yield to persuasion. You do not coerce people to take your view, because anything that is gained through force, you can readily lose it in the future. Now, please take note that whenever you go into the negotiating process, always explore for common ground or goals. Okay? always find the common ground. Yes, it is true that the opposing parties to the negotiation table have their respective expectations, which may be miles apart from each other. Nevertheless, always find in earnest what is or where is the common ground. Because by finding the common ground, no, and by building on the common ground, you talk about goals that are common to both parties, no? In fact, to the opposing parties. And if you have established the goals that are common to the opposing parties, it will lead to trust and confidence. And when there is trust and confidence, again, things become more manageable. Okay, so how do you check common ground? How do you identify common ground or goals? So by discussing and questioning, by looking and listening. So you don't go to the negotiation table and you just keep on talking and talking and talking. You go to the negotiation table with an earnest desire to look and listen to what the other party wants, what their expectations are. Because by paying attention very carefully, you can optimally check, look for, and in fact, find your common ground. So when we talk about common ground, you have to use it in order to keep momentum in negotiations, to launch or introduce a new position. Well, just a little diversion from what we are talking about. You go to a place, and that was your first time to go to that place. The moment you found out that a person who was a complete stranger to you before, the moment he started talking, you recognize, for instance, that you came from the same town, that you have similar hobbies, that in fact you even studied in the same university. These are common ground. These constitute common ground, no, which can actually serve as fertile soil, no, for trust and confidence to spring from. Okay, so always find common ground or goals. Now, when we talk about power, let's really accept it that power plays a vital role in the negotiation process. Okay, now there are three types of negotiating power. Personal power, no? This refers to the power of the negotiator. So basically, a negotiator, for example, who is exuding a lot of charisma, no, certainly has a lot of personal power. Now, when we say persuasive power, the argument itself or the ideas being set forth by themselves, no, are logical, no, because they are not simply clearly stated, but again, no, again, they could pass the test of logic. Persuasive power refers to that, no, the strength of the statements, no, given by particular party. Another power is coercive power. In our context, when we talk about collective bargaining negotiation, CBA negotiation, please take note, my friends, that on the side of the worker, their coercive power is strike. No? If, for example, there is a bargaining deadlock, then the workers may go on strike in order to paralyze the operations of the management, in order for them to pressure the management, no, to adopt what they really want. Okay? So on the part of the management, is there a coercive power granted to them by law? Because if a strike is the coercive power granted by the Constitution, no less, to the employees, what coercive power is granted by law to the employer? That is known as lockout. So the employer may actually decide to close its business, no, and do not accept, no, the workers, no, until and unless they reach, no, a point of consensus. So strike on the part of the workers, lockout on the part of the employer. These are examples of coercive power. Now, what is important for you to understand is when we talk about negotiating power affects the objectives of the negotiation, the strategy of the negotiation, and even the style for negotiation. Note that power relationships are not written on stone. No, they continuously change throughout the negotiation process. So always be prepared for changes. Okay, let's now deal with conflict resolution. So why is it that when we talk about CBA negotiation, more often than not, there are conflicts? There could be a number of reasons for conflicts, but among the most common ones are scarcity of resources. There is ambiguity with respect to responsibility and authority. There are differences in perceptions, work styles, attitudes, etc. There is also increasing interdependence as boundaries between individuals and groups becoming increasingly blurred. Okay? Now, how do you go about further in the negotiation process? You have to understand that insofar as conflict resolution is concerned, we have the so-called 5 models of resolving conflict. So I will no longer read that for you. You can easily read these 5 modes of resolving conflict in your slide. But what is important for you to take note of is that which among these 5 I earnestly believe is most beneficial, most effective. Okay? I personally submit that it is collaboration. When we say collaboration, there is an earnest intention on the part of the negotiating parties to make sure that win-win situation is achieved. So, when we talk about collaboration, it satisfies both your needs and the other's needs. And that is very important. So the other modes of resolving conflict, competition, compromising, avoiding, accommodating, feel free to explore those modes of resolving conflict. But based on my experience as a labor law practitioner for many years now, collaboration is the one that still takes the center stage when we talk about the various modes of resolving conflict. Okay? So, what are the tips that we can consider insofar as win-win bargaining is concerned? So-called critical points. So, from the very beginning, plan and have a concrete strategy. It is extremely important that before you go to the negotiation table, be clear on what is important to you. Always remember that you separate people from the problem. Separate people from the problem. Because when you focus on people instead of issues, then everything can be chaotic. And when things become chaotic, collective bargaining becomes very hard to handle. Always emphasize win-win solutions. You have to focus on interests, not just the interests of your side, but also the interests of the other side of the bargaining table. That will make you a negotiator with considerable gravitas. And if you have gravitas, people respect you, people trust what you say, then things become a lot more manageable. You have to create options. Another tip, options for mutual gain. Generate a variety of possibilities before deciding what to do. Okay? Now, aim for an outcome be based on some objective standard. Okay, so for example, if you are on the side of management and you feel that the side of the workers are negotiating on terms and conditions based on their proposals that are really impossible for the company to attain. Now, if you can show to them evidence that this, for example, this particular very high salary increase percentage, very high percentage of salary increase that they are insisting, for instance, the moment management hypothetically yields to it, then it can actually make the company crumble into pieces. Thereby, many employees would lose their job. If you have data to support that claim, why don't you share it with them so that they can make their proposals more realistic, more attuned to the realities pertaining to your company. Always have empathy, or you always consider the other party's situation. Another very important tip, know your partner, your best alternative to a negotiated alternative. So for example, if you are, for example, the employer, you are willing to give 5% salary increase. But if that particular figure is really impossible to attain, then you must have another figure in mind that you are willing to grant on the negotiation table. Let's say, even if you are thinking about 5%, but if it will not come into reality on account of the dynamics in the negotiation table, then, for example, your BATNA is 7%, then you must have that in mind, in short, so that you can easily remember this concept of BATNA. This is your plan B. This is your plan B. Always have a plan B. If plan A doesn't work, then at least you have plan B, which you can explore with the other party. Pay a lot of attention to the flow of negotiation. This is also very important. Take the intangibles into account, like emotions, pride, ego. Take this into account, because though they cannot be seen, they cannot be touched, they cannot be held, but really, these matters play a very important role in the negotiation process. Lastly, use active listening skills. You do not, because many people pause. Yes, they stop talking, they pause, while the other party is talking. But the problem is this, they pause, but they do not actually listen to what the other party is talking about. They pause while the other party is talking about, but their mind is busy thinking what to say next. That is very dangerous. In fact, that is very much unproductive, to say the least. If you are into that kind of habit, always, always have active listening, no? So that you can easily have a grasp of where the other party is really coming from. And the moment you know where the other party is coming from, then it would be a lot easier for you to what? To devise, no? To devise a system by which both parties would be in a win-win situation. So with that, it's 3:35 now. I'm given until 3:30. No? So I'm able to finish the entirety of the presentation with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Attorney Alvin. Maraming salamat. Now we have time for a few more questions. I have some questions here that was sent earlier. Let me just ask them. If ever some of our participants would like to ask a question, type your question in the chat box so that we'll see if we can still read some of them. Here's the first one. This is from John. My question would be, is it really healthy for a company to have a union? He's coming from a company that doesn't have a union yet, or he has no experience about it.
I cannot answer you categorically because different companies are into different kinds of circumstances. But I can give you some considerations that I heard, for instance, coming from employers. Many employers would say that they do not want to have a union in their company because the moment there is a union, then people tend to become more lax with respect to their duties and responsibilities. Many people are not encouraged to really do well. No, that's not my idea. Idea of a lot of entrepreneurs. Why? Because, as mentioned earlier, and in fact that is given in the law, every 3 years, there is a negotiation as regards the economic provisions of the CBA. In short, even if the employees are just petics, they just give average performance. Nevertheless, they are okay with that because periodically, their benefits would increase because every 3 years, there is a negotiation on the economic provisions of the union, of the CBA. So there you have it. One consideration.
There you go. Thank you so much for that. Another question. Okay. From Alvin, how do you handle entitled union organizations? Entitled meaning since previous management, they were treated like a baby.
Do not worry. It is extremely important that you document what your expectations are from these people. So in order for you to make your expectations a lot clearer, then you can actually issue them memos. Remember that memos are not only disciplinary documents. When we talk about memos, these are official communications within the organization. Then make your expectations very clear. Make also what consequences would fall if and when they are unable to meet the expectations of the management. Because remember, management, you have this so-called management prerogative. That is the term repeatedly used by the Supreme Court in so many cases. When we say management prerogative, this is the collection of all your powers as management. And among your powers is to determine how work must be done. You can also determine the kind and even the quantity of outputs you need from your employees. So just make clear expectations and make the consequences very clear and be consistent.
Thank you so much. Before I read the last question, let me remind everyone to make sure you fill out the feedback form. We will be posting the links here in the chat box and also in the live streams. For you to be able to receive your e-certificate, you make sure that you accomplish that feedback form, fill out the form, and then submit it back to us. Thank you. And this is our last question, attorney. Can a member withdraw union membership despite closed shop provision in CBA?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. When we talk about provision like that in the CBA, remember that the moment you withdraw your membership, if there is that particular provision which is specifically states that one among the requirements for continuing employment in that company is your continuing membership in the union, then if you withdraw membership from that particular union may invoke that particular provision and ask the management to get rid of your employment. That is allowed in the law. Why? Because if there will be no provision like that, law understands that management can easily destroy unions by making sure that the membership of the union becomes leaner and leaner. That's why union can actually work out to have a provision in this collective bargaining agreement saying, among others, if you lose your membership in the union, then as a consequence of that, you also lose employment in the company. And management has no other option but to respect that provision in the CBA. Oh, there you are.
There you go. Thank you so much, attorney. Maraming salamat for sharing your time with us and your knowledge to all of our participants this afternoon. Thank you. Again, let me remind all of our participants, I'm seeing the link here also in the chat box. We also will be posting the links. Tech team can we post the links also in our live stream. So they will have access to that and they will be able to get their e-certificates. Now, before we end, I would like to present a certificate to our speaker. Let me show this and let me read this. Ariva Academy Learning Strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our speaker, Attorney Alvin.
Thank you very much, participants. Thank you very much, Ms. Irish. Thank you very much, Ariva.
Thank you so much, Attorney Alvin. But we are not yet finished because we will have a group photo with all of our participants. So everyone, make sure your cameras are turned on right now so that we can have a group photo, okay? So turn on your cameras, please. Join us in this group photo and let me call on our technical director, Direct Elmer. Please assist us.
And thank you, Ms. Kate. Good afternoon, everyone. As we conclude our PM session, kindly turn on your cameras for the 2 shots of group photo. And let's wait for the others. I think we're good. All right, for the first one, show us a 2 thumbs up. All right, ready? In 3, 2, 1. Another one. Can you do any wacky pose? Any wacky pose you want. All right, ready? In 3, 2, 1. And that's it. Back to you, Ms. Kate.
Thank you so much, Direct Elmer. Again, Attorney Alvin, thank you. And to all of our participants this afternoon, Thank you so much for being with us, and we are looking forward to welcoming you again in our future learning events. God bless you all, everyone. Thank you.
Academy would like to thank
Yeah. Yeah.